Okay, so this is an email that I received. I'm not going to actually show you my actual email, but I was reading this earlier, and it's basically a question and answer email. She wasn't on the stage. This is from Joe Jorgensen, and it was just basically saying she wasn't on the stage. She had a huge tick up in Google searches after the Trump and Biden debate, which I'm not surprised at all because everybody on Facebook basically said that that debate was a crap show. It was a farce. It was BS. And quite frankly, I don't give a crap how wonderful I might think Trump's policies are. And I'm going to be honest with you, he's done some good things because I give credit where credit is due. But as far as his integrity, he's a slimeball. He only does things that makes him look good. I don't agree with him tweeting out government policy ideas or suggestions to the whole world. I mean, there's one thing to be transparent, but you're kind of putting us at risk for manipulation if everybody, including our enemies, knows what the hell we're doing. Like for real. Anyway, so and then Biden, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him because I'm sure you've seen from my other videos, I'm not the whitest person. So for him to come up with the crime bill, I didn't like him from the very beginning. So, as it says here, meanwhile, you can watch what Joe was saying during her debate interview with Elizabeth Nolan Brown or reread answers to the specific questions. Which I did watch the question and answer session that she did, but this is a little bit more concise because there was little quips here and there and a little bit of getting to know her. So, but this is just more specific and toned down so it doesn't take an hour and a half to go through. But one thing that I really, really liked was, what are your views on Supreme Court appointments? I would only appoint people who will actually obey the Constitution, including especially the rigorous limitations placed on government power by the 9th and 10th Amendments. Finally, I'm telling you, the government is getting a little bit too far stretching, and the Supreme Court was doing a little bit more than they were supposed to be doing. What are your healthcare plans? Her healthcare plans include work to restore free market healthcare. The American people definitely need price visibility, and I don't think there's anybody in this world that would complain about that. What would you do about COVID-19 shutdowns and masks? That's kind of controversial, but quite frankly, I think people should be able to do what they want to do. If you're scared to go out of the house, then don't go out of the house. If you feel comfortable wearing a mask, then wear a mask. If you feel uncomfortable wearing a mask, then don't wear a mask. And if the business says that you can't come in, then you can't go in. That's just being respectful of the other people. I'm a proponent of compassion. Now, if I want to go into that store, I'm going to wear a mask. If they say I don't have to wear a mask, I'm not going to wear a mask because that stuff is annoying. And quite frankly, I think that's the reason why I caught pneumonia. What would you do about vaccines? Well, let's see. She wouldn't pretend to be an American pharmacologist in chief. Vaccine providers must do their job. It's kind of messed up that they had no liability in damages to people from their vaccines. So if people feel like it's not right for them to be able to have litigation against a pharmaceutical company for giving them a vaccine that was crap, and we already know that they're trying to rush through these vaccines without trials in the first place, how are you going to make somebody take a vaccine that they don't feel comfortable with no transparency, with no real knowledge of what's going on, what's in it, and what was the process to get it done? We deserve that, especially when you want us to put something in our bodies. Americans should be free to decide whether or not to take the resulting vaccines, period. You can't mandate that. You can't make it law to make somebody put something in their bodies. Come on now. Jesus. Here's the thing. We are human beings. We are going to die. If you think the vaccine is going to keep you safe, then cool. Don't automatically assume that somebody that's unvaccinated is going to just go walk around people that they know that they can get sick. People don't do that now. People do have self-restraint when they know that they're not vaccinated. Don't give me examples about people from Somalia or wherever who didn't get vaccines and they're walking around. You have to remember that they're from an entirely different country altogether and their immune ecology is totally different. Anyway, I'm telling you, you guys want to rely on science for all these debates, but you're not looking at all of it. You're just looking at the vaccine science. I'm not debating that vaccines don't work. I'm debating that the pharmaceutical companies are not doing their jobs. Anyway, what would you do about the economy? She says that she would let the private sector use the resources because they're better at it than the government. So she would cut government spending dramatically and put those resources back into the productive economy. She'd cut taxes because the American individuals need the money more. What would she do about race relations? This was by far my most favorite answer because I've already told you that Trump's a chump and Biden's an ass. Ironic that the Democratic Party has a donkey for a mascot. Nobody else caught on to that, huh? Anyway, Great Society programs destroyed black families. Then the Nixon administration launched the drug war to further devastate the black community. Then Senator Biden passed a crime bill that placed huge numbers of black men behind bars. I would end the drug war and all the other laws that police use to harass black people. Yep, including qualified immunity. How would you change policing in America? Oh, by the way, she did mention that. You might want to watch the interview. How would you change policing in America? She would repeal all victimless crimes, so police would have fewer reasons to hassle people. She would also outlaw qualified immunity. Duh, just told you that. So that the police can be held responsible for the consequences of their actions. The result would be fewer dead citizens and fewer dead cops, obviously. What would you do about the protests? The Democrats and the Republicans both use laws to impose things on people against their will. This makes people angry. I would work to repeal all such laws, thereby reducing the anger. Obviously, the people want to know that the government's working for them, not against them, trying to turn us into plebes, servants, acolytes. I don't even know what to call it. How in the world could what service could we provide to the government other than being tax slaves? Isn't that why we left Britain in the first place? Duh. Just duh. Anyway, why should voters prefer Jorgensen? Well, quite frankly, she says she wouldn't use the government to impose things on them against their will. She would free them to make their own choices, provided they respect the equal rights of others to do the same. It's very simple. It's called respect. Respect your fellow man, then she's not going to do all these things right, obviously. Yes, the KKK and the neo-Nazis are still an issue. So I'm going to repeal too many laws that would not protect people. But then again, you do realize that the law does protect people with the ability to litigate. Quite frankly, I think people need to know the difference between criminal law and civil law.
Didn't Donald Trump make the KKK?
No, Donald Trump did not make the KKK, sweet. The KKK was around long before he was born. His grandfather was associated with the KKK, so that's why they keep bringing it up. And they keep on trying to make him racist because of it. But I don't think Donald Trump is racist in him, actually, because he's an opportunist. Although he could be racist in a way where he manipulates black people to get what he wants, i.e. Kanye West. But that's a spectrum of racism. Overt versus covert. So, what would you do about forest fires? Shut up, boy. She noticed that most wildfires start on public lands. She would put more lands in private hands and instruct the Forest Service to emulate what the private sector to prevent fires. What would she do about global warming? Seriously? They want one person to solve global warming. You do realize the entire globe needs to participate in this, right? We already know what the problems are. It's the carbon emissions, and they're filling up. So we would do better to get rid of gas-powered cars, transition over to electric or anything. Honestly, hybrids are better than gas guzzlers. Hi. Yes, gas guzzlers are cars that run on gas and a whole lot of it. Like a big old truck that goes 36 miles and then you have to fill up again. 36 miles is going to your dad's house and back. So where exactly is he going on 36 miles? He'd have to fill up before he got on the... That is, if his car was empty, he'd have to fill up before he left his house. And then fill up when he get back. Otherwise, he might not be able to make it. Anyway, she would increase the use of nuclear power. Thorium is nuclear, by the way. It doesn't have to be uranium, which has a very bad half-life that could kill us all. She would end subsidies that favor other forms of energy and remove obstacles that block the wider adoption of nuclear power. Fight the lobbyists that keep on screwing us over. What do you think about election integrity? Election integrity starts by letting all the ballot qualified candidates appear in the debates. Why is it that she's on all the ballots in all 50 states and yet she was not on the debate stage? Money and control. The Democrats and the Republicans are in charge of everything associated with the debates. Period. You don't hear any buzz about the Libertarian National Convention. You don't hear about the Socialist Party of American National Convention. Yes, these are national conventions. You don't hear about the Green Party or the Tea Party. You know they exist, but nobody wants to vote for them or even participate in their rallies because they only know about the Democrats and the Republicans. That's absurd. Truly absurd. Here's the uncut truth. The corrupt Commission on Presidential Debates is designed to protect the two-party system. We cannot rely on a fair public forum from anyone in the media. Instead, we must take our message directly to the people. It's almost exactly what I just said. The Republicans and the Democrats are in control of everything, which is why when Trump said fake news, I believed him because I already knew it. I don't hate Trump for saying it because it was a reality. He's not an idiot for saying it because you should be able to see it by now. That doesn't mean that you're going to vote for Trump because you actually agree with one thing that he says. That is another reason why the media is irritating the crap out of me. They are manipulating people who don't know better, frankly. So here is one of the surveys that they ask. Should any candidate who is on the ballot in all 50 states be included in the debate? Obviously, yes. The American citizens deserve to know who's actually running for president. Any office, really, regardless of party. What is with the cloak and dagger? Oh, we're only showing you the Democrats and the Republicans. So when you actually do have a viable third party candidate, or however you want to put it, nobody knows about it. And then when you finally put it to them that this person's better, they're just like, oh, I can't vote for them because they won't have any support. People were actually telling me that there were no independents in Congress. There were no independents on the local and state level. That's a lie. And that just shows that they're not doing any research on their own. And they're just being spoon-fed what's being served up to them from the media. I don't understand how you could have a smartphone in your hand and not Google who's running for president and get a real answer. I did it, and I posted my results on Facebook. Do you think the Commission on Presidential Debates needs to include Joe Jorgensen? I think they need to include anybody who's running for president. Anybody who's running, period, should be included. Should Joe Rogan host one of the remaining debates? Sure, I like Joe Rogan. He's very unbiased. He really doesn't care. He wants you to actually rationally convince him. He's open. He might have a stance, but if you give him a good reason and it doesn't really go against his core moral values, he might actually jump on board. He can have his mind changed rationally. Should the presidential debates be hosted by a true nonpartisan organization? Yes. I don't want to say like the League of Women Voters. I don't give a crap about the League of Non-Women Voters or the League of Women Voters. Anybody who's nonpartisan. You could say the nonpartisan organization like the Voters of America. How about a volunteer group of people from all over the country? One person from each state. They meet in Washington, D.C. or some place of their choosing, and they actually get an understanding of how to put together a presidential debate, or any debate for that matter. How about National Convention of Voters? Let's make that. What issue do you think was missed during the debate? There were so many things missed during the debate because it was like a crap show. Nobody could actually understand what was going on. The only thing that I remember distinctly from that debate was Donald Trump saying he was taking advantage of the loopholes in the tax law that allowed him to only pay $750. There are loopholes, and every rich person in America knows it. The poor people are paying their taxes because they don't get all the fancy loopholes. They don't have the fancy CPAs and accountants that can tell them all the loopholes. They usually do their taxes themselves. Tax and TurboTax are manipulated little shits because they were supposed to have free tax services for people with W-2s, and they don't. They manipulate them, and it's been proven. And I've actually looked for the free version and have been hoodwinked into going into the paid version. So, I love you, TurboTax. I've been doing my taxes with you for a long time, but you know, a spade is a spade. So, you can't get mad at the man for paying $750 in taxes without getting mad at the system that allowed him to do so. Period. The tax law works to his advantage. The tax law works to Nancy Pelosi's advantage. The tax law works to Chuck Schumer's advantage. Every person in Congress walking around like a millionaire, including Joe Biden, they take advantage of the tax laws. How could you miss that? How could you not see that from what the news media reports? You were so thinking that, oh, all these public servants, they're just like me. No, they get richer and richer off of things that you don't have access to. They put their money in the stock market. They have 401ks that are building constantly. They have other investment instruments that you know nothing about that allow their money to work for them while they're hoodwinking you. So I was trying to get a sample ballot from the Board of Elections, but you know, it's just very specific. So how many more people are being duped into thinking that this is the only thing that's going to be on their sample ballot? Why is it that when I click sample ballot, this is what I get? Or this.
What do you get?
I get something that's specific to the Democratic Party and something that's specific to the Republican Party. That's ridiculous. If I want a sample ballot, I want to know what's on the ballot. Everything that's on the ballot. I don't want a Republican-only ballot. I don't want a Democrat-only ballot. I'm a citizen and I should get every issue that's on the ballot. Doesn't that make sense? I'm not just voting for the Republicans. I'm not just voting for the Democrats. I'm voting for America. And quite frankly, we need a balance of Democrats and Republicans to run the country. And then this brings me to this. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I am all for breaking the two-party system. there is still Howie Hawkins that's running for the Green Party, and I think he's a better alternative for the Green New Deal as he proposed it, as opposed to supporting Joe Biden. So I encourage everyone to look into him. But quite frankly, I'm on Joe Jorgensen's team because I really do appreciate her, and this is like crunch time. And in all actuality, if you're on the fence about leaving the Democrats and the Republicans, Joe Jorgensen has the most delegates, if that's what you're worried about. And she is a more viable, as you would say, third party candidate. I'm not discrediting the Green Party because they're all on all 50 ballots. Or, no, they're on 48 ballots. They're not on all 50. And they had some legal issues, which I think is unfortunate, but they're still on the ballot in some of the states. That's where your donations come in. Your donations help each party candidate to get their names on the ballot. They have to pay for registration fees. They have to pay for paperwork that needs to be filed with each state. That's where your donations go. And advertising, in all honesty. To pay not poll workers, to pay campaign workers and other people who help get the word out there that your candidate is running. So, this is going to be a very long video, and I do apologize once I edit it together. But Joe Jorgensen mentions that we experienced the worst debate ever. Everybody agreed that it was a farce. Well, I can't say everybody. A large number of people. Let's just say the majority of Americans thought it was a farce. The so-called two-party system failed. We are experiencing the consequences of that failure. Like I said before, I think Trump himself is an embarrassment, but that debate was a national embarrassment of epic proportions. Joe Jorgensen says that Trump and Biden, while they talk over each other and bicker, actually agree on far too much. Endless wars, the war on drugs, crony capitalism, and the destruction of our Bill of Rights. Neither of these men understand the devastating effects they've had on the United States. Trump has started a trade war that's destroyed millions of jobs and left America with a new record debt. And Joe Biden has served in public office for 19% of our country's entire history and was an architect of the war on drugs and a cheerleader for the Iraq war. Yeah, I already knew that. I mentioned earlier about the crime bill, which put a whole bunch of black people in jail, and then Kamala Harris helped enforce that. No, I don't like Biden and Kamala. And I think it's an insult for people to say that they care about black lives and then they're telling me to vote for Biden. I'm sorry, you're stupid. You clearly don't know who you're voting for. And if you think, oh, well, the president, no, he's going to continue supporting policy that does exactly what he passed a long time ago, period. It's no wonder they did everything in their power to keep Jorgensen out of the debate. She would have crushed them with the hard facts, defending the Constitution and exposed these two for the corrupt politicians they are. I told everybody else, how in the world could you possibly know that the government is corrupt and then keep on voting for the people that you know are corrupt? That makes absolutely no sense. The reason why people voted for Trump in the first place is because they wanted a political outsider. But the sad part is, he was a snake. He has always been a snake. You can't take a corrupt person just because he's not a politician and put him in a corrupt system and then want to get mad at him for doing underhanded, dirty stuff. That's why I tell people all the time, I'm not mad at Trump. I know exactly who he was when he took the presidency. So I'm not surprised. I'm not totally upset. I'm embarrassed that it even got to that point. I'm still embarrassed that people keep on saying, oh, we need to vote for the lesser of two evils. No, you should be ashamed of yourself for not doing proper research and realizing that there are other people available who are far better choices. I think Joe Jorgensen is a better choice. I think Howie Hawkins is a better choice. But he's not the better choice for me. He might be the better choice for you. But I know in my heart of hearts that I'm not voting for the lesser of two evils. I rather vote for the greater good between Joe Jorgensen and Howie Hawkins. I would like to see the polls shift dramatically. I don't care about what the primaries told me about Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I want the general election to prove that we want anybody else but those two. And since Joe Jorgensen is on all 50 ballots, clearly she would be the winner in a landslide. I'm sorry, Howie. I really do wish, but you're not on all 50 states. You're not on all 50 ballots. It's unfortunate. But hopefully this year, people will see that it's time. It is time to pay closer attention to other candidates in the presidential race, in local and state races. Like I said, when you make a donation to your candidate, it helps fund these little email campaigns and mailing campaigns and so on and so forth, and paying the campaign workers. Unlike with Trump's campaign and Biden's campaign, a portion of that usually goes into their pockets. I don't care what you say. You know that's what happens. I liked Andrew Yang, and I was full force all go for Andrew Yang because he was bringing about the issues about where the jobs were going. They were being automated away. And trying to come up with a solution through universal basic income to fix that. A solution, a real plausible explanation as to what American people need. Joe Biden and Donald Trump just stand for the same old, same old. Everybody's miserable. I was watching the designated survivor, and I was just like, oh my God, that's like the dream world. But it's a dream because everybody's still sleeping. Wake up and make it real. It's about time. Aren't you sick and tired of being sick and tired yet? I know I am, and I've been for a long, long time. And I'm always searching for the truth. That candidate that's going to actually make some real change. I thought it was going to be Andrew Yang because he was a breakthrough Democratic candidate. He actually made it on the debate stage. But of course, it ended up being Joe Biden. I wonder why. Clear corruption in your face. Blatant. Just spit in your face. Everybody was making it very clear that that's what they wanted. And now everybody's making it clear that Joe Jorgensen and Howie Hawkins are fighting for what the people actually want. But they're being gaslit by the media. And it's a shame.